Hello everyone. Hope all is going well with you. Would like to take a few minutes today to cover in this video a topic that we didn't have time to cover in much detail during our session together a couple weeks ago, and that's effective meetings. To help you out, it would be beneficial if you would grab your workbook. Starting on page 94, there's quite a bit of information on how to hold an effective meeting, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So if you want to grab that and something to write with, take a few notes while we talk. While you're doing that, I just want to talk about why do we care about effective meetings. We've probably all been in a situation where we are sitting in meetings and we're thinking, what is going on here? Is this thing ever going to end? Why are we even here? Why am I here? And you know, they said it was going to be a 30-minute meeting, and we're over an hour and I don't see any end in sight. I really believe that effective meetings go back to what we talked about in our definitions of lean, and that's respect for people. I think that an effective meeting is respectful of the people involved. It's respectful of their time, and I believe that when you are more respectful of people's time, that you will get more done and you will increase participation, and people will actually kind of like coming to your meetings because they know that they're well run. So hopefully you have your workbooks out, so let's talk a little bit in detail about effective meetings. Okay, so let's talk about the three elements of an effective meeting. It's the before, during, and after, the planning, doing, follow-up, however you want to look at it. I really believe that if you make a little bit of an investment in the planning, that your meetings are going to go better, they're going to be much more effective, and people are going to be more appreciative and want to participate in your meetings. So before your meeting, develop an agenda. What are you going to cover in that meeting? Set an appropriate time for what you're going to cover. I'm a huge fan of shorter meetings over long meetings. I worked for a guy for a number of years. I think number one, he was the best boss I ever had or probably ever will have. But no matter, the longest meeting we ever had was 20 minutes. There were some that were less, but never more than 20 minutes. And to do that, we covered some, we did projects, some projects that lasted 6 months long, but the meetings were never more than 20 minutes. But we walked in with a plan and we came prepared. So if you have a plan, if you have an agenda, if you have detailed information that people need to read, distribute that before. There's nothing worse than walking into a meeting about a topic you want to, that's going to be discussed in that meeting, and somebody hands you a piece of paper or several pieces of paper that takes you 5 minutes to read. Get those types of things out beforehand so that everybody has a chance to read them and they can, make notes of the things that they want to discuss in the meeting. So get everything out and do your front work. Make that investment. I think it's going to make your meeting go a lot better. Set a time and stick to it. You've all probably been in meetings where your meeting starts at 9 o'clock and there's some that are there ahead of time, and people wander in up to 10-15 minutes late. That's just not respectful. So it's going to be a bit of a struggle because there's some of those things, it's the culture is such that that's been allowed to happen, so you're probably going to have to address them. Again, I think that once you get people trained, if you will, to that you start on time and you end on time, it'll be a lot easier for them to realize the importance of getting there on time. But set a start time, set an end time, stick to it. That note there, the third bullet on before, try stand-up meetings. I'm a huge fan of that. I think meetings tend to be shorter. I think people tend to be a lot more attentive, and it's just, the other thing is you can have a stand-up meeting in the places where you need to have those meetings. So if you're working on a project and you need to go to an area to observe something or to discuss something, it's always good to have a stand-up meeting. I'm a huge fan of those. Do it wherever you can. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it doesn't make sense for what you're doing, and sit down meetings are okay. But I like to be on my feet. I like to have my teams on their feet too. So again, make that investment up front. I think you'll have a better meeting. One other thing in planning for your meetings, you as the project leaders are going to be facilitating these meetings. So there are two other jobs, if you will, in a meeting. One is a scribe or a note taker. The other is a timekeeper or a judge. I would ask for somebody on the team to do those things. We'll talk about scribing here in just a minute as to what you do, but the note taker, they're just going to take important notes that come out of the meeting. The timekeeper or judge just kind of keeps us on track. And again, I think people tend to be a little bit more focused and stay on task if we know somebody's watching and helping us do that. So ask for volunteers, assign those. Hopefully your teams will evolve to the point that you can even rotate the facilitator position down the road, and you can start developing others in holding effective meetings. So during the meeting, make sure that you, again, start and end on time. Very, very important. Stick to your agenda. You're going to be covering something. No matter how hard we try to stick to agenda, things are going to come up that aren't on the agenda. As a facilitator, we want to thank the person for bringing that up. Ask the scribe to make note of it and say, something like, gee, thanks for mentioning that. We'll make sure that gets on the agenda for the next meeting, but we want to get back to our agenda today. And you be respectful, be courteous, but let's just keep people on track. So make sure that you're sticking to your agenda and making note of those things that come up. Don't want anybody feeling like, gee, they don't care about my ideas. The other thing is that as you're discussing things, make sure that everybody participates. We don't want to have a case where there's those shy, quiet types, kind of like me. They're sitting back in the corner, and you can tell they're thinking, but their nature is they don't talk very much. So, without going into the whole psychology of human behavior, just make sure that you're checking in with everybody and making sure that everybody has a chance to voice their opinion on the topic, because everybody has one. Just some of us aren't as vocal as others. And then on the flip side of that, make sure that the strong dominant types aren't taking over the meetings. So kind of keep that balance as a facilitator, keeping everybody in check. So the scribe, during the meeting, they're going to be or taking notes. The things you want to take notes on are those things that are decisions that are made, questions that are asked, future topics, and to-dos. Things that need to be done after the meeting. Don't ask your scribes to keep a written dialogue of everything that was said. Well, Brian said this, and then Dave responded with that, and then Leslie, said this, and things like that. That's not what we need. Keep it really simple and short. A sentence or two is sufficient to keep track of those important things that come out of the meeting, so that you can record them and pass them on later. So that gets us to after the meeting. We want to, as quickly as possible, if your scribe's doing those things, it should be fairly easy to just grab their notes, or they may even volunteer to do it, but put it into an email and send it out to everybody. These are the things the important things that came out of their meeting. I try to do that. I would try to do that excuse me, as quickly as possible, but no more than a couple days after the meeting, get those notes out. I think what happens is the longer you go, the less we remember, the less we lose interest. We can get a lot of momentum going in a meeting, and we don't want to lose it. So let's take a minute to talk about your first meeting for your project, which is your kickoff meeting. And Brian's put together this agenda of the important things that you want to follow in your kickoff meeting. This is the first time that your team has gotten together for the purpose of this project. So make sure that you introduce, that everybody knows who's in the room. Just a quick round of introductions, make sure everybody knows who everybody else is and what they do. Review your team's purpose. This is a great time to go over your problem statement, and that's your purpose. This is the situation as we know it today, and we're here to come up with a way to improve that. So the next thing is define some roles and set some ground rules. You'll be the lead on the project. You'll be facilitating the project. You might tell them who your sponsor is. There may be some other roles. Probably in a kickoff meeting may not be a lot of roles yet. You'll define more of those, and they can change as you go through your process improvement. But those that you do know, lay those out. And also just set out some basic ground rules. Everybody gets a chance to voice their opinion. We want to come to consensus on whatever we do. We'll come to consensus for the team. We always want to be respectful of individuals. It's okay to attack processes but not people. Another basic ground rule is these meetings, we're trying to run effective meetings in this process, so make sure that you're here on time so that we can end on time. Just some very basic common courtesy type ground rules. It's okay to review those. And talk about the method that you're going to go through. You're learning the DMAIC method, and it's fair right now to share that because some people may not know what that means. And some people might, after you've read your problem statement, say, "Oh, I know what to do. Let's just go fix it." It's a process. It's a problem-solving process that you're learning, and you're gonna, in the process of improving, you're gonna teach them that process as well. So at this point in time, it's a good idea to review that DMAIC process. And then the last thing that you want to cover is your homework assignments and how individuals on the team can help you complete those. If you need to refine your problem statement, get some input on that. Your SIPOC, you're going to need some help on that. So identify, maybe the entire team may just be a few individuals, but get the right resources on it. And then your waste walk. Who wants to go? Who can help you out on that? So review your assignments. Ideally, you should be able to cover this probably in about 30 minutes. It's again, you're learning a lot of new things. It's fair to tell the team these are things I'm learning, so I'm practicing at the same time. And I believe that if you're upfront with those types of things, people tend to be a lot more forgiving and supportive of your learning efforts. So that's a good summary of your kickoff agenda. And once you've gone through all that, then you can adjourn the meeting and say, okay, so what do we do now? First of all, let your mentor know that you watched this presentation. And that's a good time to ask any questions that you might have or discuss effective meetings with your mentor. If you haven't already done so, hold your kickoff meeting. Get that started. Get your project going. The other thing is that these tips aren't just for process improvement project meetings. They're for any type of meeting. So get out there, practice, use them. Just like anything else in life, the more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. Good luck, and look forward to seeing you at the next session. Thanks. Bye.